Oh, to be so. You've done well, Mom. Good morning and welcome. Swap mic. Stand by. We'll try that. We'll switch. No. Now I'm caught. Now I'm caught.
Because this is kind of this is sounding distorted otherwise.
All right. No worries. Thank God for the techies. Special places in heaven for those folks. Okay, here we go. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lynchburg. We are so glad you chose to be here with us this morning. It is so very good to be together. My name is Ellen Plummer, and it's my privilege to serve as your worship leader today. Let's begin by acknowledging the community that we have chosen to belong to this morning. So, roomies, wave and make nice with the zoomies. And zoomies, you can wave to us as well. We are so happy to be together across space. It's miraculous. Here at this time and in this community, we gather to create sacred space in a spirit of freedom and friendship. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, whatever your gender identity, and whomever you love, you are truly welcome here. Together, we work for justice, compassion, and peace. We humbly acknowledge that our land and buildings are located on the unceded lands of the Tutelo and Monacan peoples. If you are with us for the very, very first time, we're so glad you chose to spend time with us this morning and to participate in the service that we offer to honor the many ways we express our love to our church community. We would be more than happy to tell you more about our community, wouldn't we? Yes, we would be more than happy to talk about who we are and how much we love us. We can do that with you in social time, on Zoom or in person in Drysdale Hall, which is through this door, adjacent. If you are here in the sanctuary, we hope you will join us for soup and fellowship after the service. I hear the clam chowder is particularly good. We communicate as a community using Facebook, a monthly newsletter, and a weekly update delivered to your email on Fridays. Thank you, Courtney. Let us know if you would like to receive our newsletter and weekly update. If you're in the sanctuary, you can provide us your contact information using a yellow card that's located in the pouch hanging on the chair in front of you. If you are on Zoom, or any other time actually, you can provide us with your information using the UU Lynchburg website. That's uulynchburg.org. How simple could that be? For those of you on Zoom, today's order of service is in the chat located to the right of your screen if you are using a PC. And if you're using a phone, the link is at the bottom of your screen. Now, Terry is going to share some announcements with us. What? How is that possible?
That's shocking.
We're UUs. We always have announcements.
Just make sure you stay for Soup Sunday. It's wonderful to be here this morning. And as we enter our time of worship, we light the flame of our chalice, sharing these words. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life.
Our opening words this morning are by the Reverend Samantha Lynn Wilson. It's called We Practice Being Called. Choosing to focus our attention is countercultural. Choosing to focus our attention, to pay attention, is countercultural. Daily, we are called to worship at the altar of many devices. We are called to worship surveillance systems we let take the lead. We are called to worship headlines set purely on our activation. We are entrapped. Instead, here in this community this morning, we are called to bring our attention to the altar of unpredictable human relatedness. Unpredictable human relatedness. We are called to focus all our attention on a foolhardy and open-hearted commitment to share a future together that we cannot cancel, nor can we control it. Please rise as you are able and join us in singing hymn number 352, Find a Stillness. It's located in our gray hymnal.
Invite all the young ones to join me down front. I have such a good story this morning. Look at my story. I'm not working either. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Thank God for the All right, our lapel mics are not feeling it this morning. That's okay. So we were just talking about this great book that I have. It's got this cow on the cover, and he looks like he's having some feelings, maybe.
Hi, Moody.
Yeah, so his name is Moody Cow. And this is all about Moody Cow Meditates.
Is that a tattoo on him?
You know what? I think it kind of looks like he has a scratch, maybe. Maybe he got an owie.
That might be why he's moody.
My name is Moody Cow. It used to be Peter, but now it's Moody Cow. It all started one stupid, rotten day when everything went wrong. First, I had a bad dream. A very bad dream, which involved a giant three-eyed alien. What a rotten way to wake up. I wanted to find my mom, and tell her about the giant three-eyed alien, but I couldn't find her anywhere. So I admit I was in a bad mood to begin with. Then I couldn't find my skateboard. Turned out my sister had borrowed it. Daisy, stop drawing on my skateboard. Okay, maybe I overreacted when I pulled her tail, but it was a brand new skateboard. So then Daisy had to get me back by tripping me on the stairs. What a monster. That made me mad, so mad that I cut her doll's hair off on purpose. Of course, I got in trouble for that, which made me miss the bus. I had to ride my bike all the way to school in the snow. That made me really mad. On the way home from school,
Didn't he just grab the school bus?
I don't know. That seems kind of dangerous to just grab a hold of the school bus. On the way home from school, I hit a snowbank and scraped my knee. There was blood everywhere. Ow! The rest of the way, I couldn't stop thinking about how my rotten day was really Daisy's fault. She put me in a bad mood by drawing on my new skateboard.
You know it's your bad dreams.
Or maybe it was the giant three-eyed alien's fault for giving me bad dreams. Whatever. I was so mad I couldn't see straight. And when I turned into our driveway, I crashed right into my dad's truck. Ow! I think I broke my nose. Well, you can understand that with a bloody knee and a banged up nose, I was madder than ever. Super mad. I can't take any more. And then I did something crazy. I picked up my baseball and threw it right through the window on purpose. Unfortunately, my mom saw the whole thing. "What on earth do you think you were doing?" she yelled. "Have you lost your mind?" She came outside, took one look at my super mad, rotten day face, and I guess she felt sorry for me. "Aw, are you a little moody cow?" Of course, my sister Daisy heard her say that. She started shouting, "Moody cow, Peter is a moody cow." The next thing I knew, all the kids in the neighborhood joined in. "We need grandfather," Mom said, and picked up the phone. Pretty soon, my grandfather was sitting in the sunroom on a meditation cushion. I got to sit on one too. "I hear they're calling you Moody Cow," grandfather said and smiled. I couldn't help smiling back a little. I guess Funny Cow was kind of a funny name. "See this?" he asked. He pointed to a jar of water. "This is your mind," he said. "And these," he held out a little dish of sparkles, "are your angry thoughts." "That," I said, "is a jar of water, and those are Daisy's fairy dust sparkles. Come on, Mr. Moody Cow, work with me here. Now what we're going to do is put in a pinch of sparkles for every angry thought you have. Then we're going to sit here until they all settle down to the bottom. By the time the water is clear again, your anger will have all settled down too. It won't work, I told him. Let's just see, he said.
If you breathe while that's happening, probably.
You think it'll work if he breathes while it's happening?
But otherwise, probably not.
I took a
Something else to come.
I took a pinch of sparkles and dropped it into the water. Which angry thought is that? Grandfather asked. That's the three-eyed alien. It tried to gobble me up last night. Oh, I see. Well, that's a rotten way to start the day. Okay, what else? I put in another pinch for the next angry thought. This is me having to clean the toilet for a whole month for breaking the window. I hate cleaning the toilet. Me too. What else? I put in one more pinch of sparkles and said, this is Daisy drawing on my brand new skateboard with a marker. Oh dear, she did that? Grandfather sighed. Okay, what else? This pinch is when I missed the bus and had to ride my bike to school in the snow. You can ride a bike through snow? Grandfather asked. I have good tires. Anything else? On my way home, I scraped my knee and I was so mad I crashed into Dad's truck and I think I broke my nose. Ouch, Grandfather said. That must have hurt. It did. Then I picked up my baseball and threw it through the window on purpose. Wow.
How's that an angry?
You should put in a double pinch for that one. I guess you really did have a moody cow day. I sure did. Is that all? Grandfather asked. Yeah, but it's a lot.
What about Daisy tripping you?
Oh, he did forget about Daisy tripping him. It sure is. Grandfather put the lid on the jar and shook it up real good. Look at our jar. This jar is like your mind right now, he said.
Did they put glue in it? So
Angry thoughts bouncing around all over the place. Now, let's see what happens when we let your angry thoughts settle down, Grandfather said, putting the mind jar down in front of me. Just sit quietly and see what happens. I sat up real straight, and then I got to ring the gong. Bong! I sat watching all my angry thoughts swirl around like crazy in the jar. A few thoughts slowed down and sank to the bottom, then a few more, and a few more. It was so still, I could feel my heart beating. It was so quiet, I could hear my breath going in and out, in and out. I felt a ray of golden sunshine coming through the window. It warmed my back and started to melt away the last of my anger. Finally, Grandfather rang the gong to end the meditation. He leaned over to whisper in my ear, "Okay, this part's important. Don't move until you can't hear the sound of the gong anymore." I cocked my head, listening closely. Bong. The ringing got softer and softer and softer until I couldn't hear it at all. Grandfather smiled and held up the jar. "Well, look at this. All the sparkles have settled down," he said. "And my angry thoughts have too," I said. I guess if I think about it, I could get mad again. "That's probably true," Grandfather said. "But we had to work pretty hard to settle them down. Let's not stir them up again." I laughed for the first time that day. "That thing is cool," I said. "Can I keep it?" "Sure," said Grandfather. He smiled and handed me the jar and the dish of sparkles. A few minutes each day helps keep the moody cow away. I laughed again. "Thanks, Grandfather. Can we do this again tomorrow?" "Of course. Let's try to do this together every day." I went to my room and put the mind jar by my bed. just in case the three-eyed alien ever comes back. Now, it's been 2 whole weeks, and I haven't had one moody cow day. But I've decided to keep the name anyway. I kind of like it. The end. What did you think of my story?
Good.
Yeah, it's such a good story, isn't it?
Poor moody cow.
Poor moody cow.
Why did his sister tease him and call him?
I don't know. Siblings can be kind of rough sometimes, I think. All right, I'm going to give you guys a few of these. And upstairs in RE today, we're going to be making our own mind jars. Here you go, Nora. Take these. Right now, we're going to invite you guys to take those cards and pass them out to the grown-ups in the audience so that they can have their own mind jars to make at home if they want to do that, because everybody has moody days sometimes. And for those of you who made resilience kits in RE last week, this will be a really good thing to take home and put in your resiliency kit. You can keep it. Thank you, such good helpers we have. All right, here's your things. All right, as soon as Polly makes it back up, we will head out. If anybody didn't get a card, let us know during Soup Sunday and we can make sure you get one. All right, I think we're ready to go.
Each Sunday, we take an offering of our gifts for the work of this community within this building and in the larger world. And so we give thanks for the gifts that you offer this morning. They are gratefully received. Spirit of life and love, we hold up this morning our anger, our hurt, our love for one another. In this time when Muslims around the world fast during the daytime hours. May we find ways to center and ground ourselves in the highest values of the human family. We hold up today those we love who are suffering in mind, body, or spirit. Those who are moving out of this life and those who are moving into this life. For marriages and celebrations and families that grow and evolve, we give thanks. And we give thanks for this community that helps us sustain our commitment to live love in the world. This we ask in the name of all that is sacred. Amen.
The reading this morning is from a sermon that the Reverend John Burens gave last year. I had the privilege of having Rev John as my advisor for my internship. So if I messed up anything while I was with you last year, we're going to blame it on John because he's not here to defend himself. This sermon he called From Change in Mind and Heart. He writes, "Why is it that we have so much difficulty acknowledging our failure to live up to our own Unitarian Universalist ideals? Why do we have such difficulty acknowledging our enmeshment in structures of injustice?" For John, those questions raised a Sufi parable. It goes something like this. Several fish were swimming in the ocean, and one of these fish said, "They tell me there's an ocean, but I've never seen it." Said another fish, "That's because we are all in it. We take the ocean for granted. Once I was washed up on a beach, but I survived. Now I realize that not only are we all in the ocean is also in us." A third fish said, "Nasty currents, predators. What has ocean ever given me?" "Only everything," said the wisest of the fish. "Only everything." So it is with us and the infinite, the divine, say the Sufis. It surrounds us. It is in us. Yet we fail to see, feel, and at times even acknowledge the awe we should feel for the one source that upholds and spiritually feeds us all. John goes on to write, "The culture we all swim in today is not only full of nasty currents and predators, but is also perversely polluted with plastic, literally and metaphorically. Our culture, the ocean we swim in, is littered with individualist consumerism. This morning, we had the pleasure about hearing regarding Peter the Moody Cow, and how Moody Cow's grandfather helped shift their focus. Peter was frustrated and angry and entirely focused on feeling bad. Peter's grandfather taught them how to pay attention and find a sense of calm. Peter also learned how an object can serve as a way to focus our attention when we pay attention to something designed to help us think through what might be going on with us and calm us down. Many years ago, in the before times, I was a social worker. And I was in Durham, North Carolina, and my job was in the public schools. And my job was to proper care and feed, social work, youngsters with behavioral challenges that kept them from participating in ways that we would prefer they did in the classroom. So my job was to work with them. So I was in a classroom adjacent to the school, and when the student needed time away from morning meeting or a lesson of some kind, they got sent to my office. My office was timeout. something, someone, some divine inspiration suggested that I buy a couple of magic wands. That's what these are. You can find them really big, you can find them small. Inside these magic wands, not unlike our glitter jar, is translucent glitter and stars, little tiny stars of all different colors. And I would tell the youngster, dude, you want to go back to class? You want to go to recess? You want to be able to eat your lunch? You want to hang out with your friends? You need to count all the stars in this magic wand as they fall from the top here down into the bottom. I have no idea how many stars there are in this magic wand, but a good 10 minutes would give this child, this youngster, an opportunity to get a hold of what might have been going on with them that day. Peter the Moody Cow's story reminded me of that experience as a social worker in the before times. Paying attention takes practice. Paying attention requires judgment, decision-making, physical adjustments to our bodies, and settling the emotions we carry in our heart and spirit. To rest, to be still, is to create the opportunity to cultivate awareness, insight, and creativity. Rest is essential for physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual well-being. The benefits of rest are evident all around us. Crop fields need to lie fallow to be productive. Some animals hibernate to preserve energy. And most all the seasons include an interlude of dormancy. Rest is part of the rhythms of generative and creative, life-giving processes. Rest is not optional. As many of us know, rest is codified as the Sabbath in many of our faith traditions. Theologies and practices all over the world have centered the function of rest as reverence for a time set aside specifically for reflection, for worship, for quiet. In many traditions, the Sabbath was and remains legislated and fiercely guarded by governments and by religious institutions. The Christian Sabbath honors, in some interpretations, the Sunday is held, the Christian Sabbath is on Sunday, and it honors, depending on your interpretation, the day Jesus was resurrected. That's why Sunday matters to some of us. The Emperor Constantine officially recognized the Christian Sabbath in 321 current era and declared Sunday our day of rest throughout the Roman Empire. I would love to be able to do that. All right, everybody, time out. Count the stars, chill. Protestant Christians who colonized New England were so committed to the importance of the Sabbath that they created civil and ecclesiastical prohibitions designed to literally scare the hell out of you. On the Sabbath, one was to refrain from engaging in any activity that might divert the senses from focused attention on God. The Sabbath was dedicated to enforced piety, evidenced by day-long observances in worship and contemplation, usually on really, really hard wood benches and pews. In the Jewish tradition, the Sabbath is an ancient practice cherished for its role for creating holy community. The Hebrew Bible's first reference to the Sabbath occurs in Genesis 2. So God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it, because on it God rested from all the work that he had done in creation. In Exodus 20, God issues the commandment, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. This commandment is not a lifestyle suggestion. And in case there is any doubt as to its veracity, the directive comes from God, not some human intermediary. Remember the Sabbath is the only commandment that begins with the word remember, rather than the words thou shalt. Remember the Sabbath. God, being all wise, knew that we would forget the Sabbath. And so he put it in the commandments. He directed us to remember it and keep it holy. We know we should rest, and when we get busy, we forget. We are non-compliant when it comes to rest and honoring the Sabbath. In his book titled Sabbath, Wayne Muller calls our culture of hyperproduction and desire for material goods the gospel of consumption. Production and consumption are entwined with the good news narratives of progress, modernity, and civilization. The gospel of consumption preaches that more is good and most is best. And the person with the most is the most successful and worthy. The alleged good news of the gospel, of this gospel, is that in addition to material goods, we produce and purchase happiness. Success is predicated on more of everything. More money, more status, more information, more education, more love, more possessions, supersized and jumbo everything. This kind of success requires a lot of work and activity. The busier one is, the more successful they must be. Muller states, our culture invariably supposes that action and accomplishment are better than rest. That doing something, anything, is better than doing nothing. I tend to forget the Sabbath because ingrained in my sense of self is that my success and worth are evidenced by incessant work. Unconscious most of the time, my impulse to produce is deeply tied to wanting desperately to matter. I want to be useful, I want to solve problems, and I want to make the world a better place. From that vantage point, from this my mindset, for me to stop and rest and honor the Sabbath is counterintuitive. Paying attention to the Sabbath is an existential threat. Not doing equals not existing. I may cease to be useful, worthy, and successful, and exhaustion, that's the fear, right? Is that you're going to disappear, right? And exhaustion is its trophy. I'm reminded of the many times in my years in working at a university, coaching graduate students, doctoral students, early career faculty, to challenge the ethos of exhaustion and no sleep. It's baked into the higher education culture around being a student and being an early career professional in particular. And it results in really crappy work. But it takes a while, and it takes some permission from a mentor to say, go home, put on bunny slippers, and go to bed. Enough already. And oh, by the way, eat some vegetables while you're at it. An award, exhaustion is an award for commitment, persistence, hard work, and loyalty. In the gospel of consumption, exhaustion is the suffering we must endure to succeed. Suffering is noble, and the sacrifice is worth it because it carries with it affirmations of self-worth and recognition. However, here's the thing. Constant work is not benign. It causes harm to our bodies, our souls. It injures and prevents our creativity, and our overproduction and consumption causes harm to our communities. Muller writes that our successful life has become a violent enterprise to shock us into paying attention. Muller suggests that we perpetrate violence on our own bodies by pushing ourselves sometimes beyond physical and emotional limits. We commit violence on our loved ones by not paying attention and not making the time to be present in meaningful ways. We perpetrate violence on our humanity and our spirit by not paying attention to the needs of our inner voice. We commit violence on our planet in all the ways in which we overproduce, consume, and deny the sacredness of the earth. We perpetrate violence in our communities by fiercely protecting what we have succeeded in consuming and gathering. We fiercely protect this out of a fear of scarcity and a refusal to share. As Unitarian Universalists committed to justice making, we commit to continuously paying attention to the ways that the gospel of consumption creates a social hierarchy of worthiness. This hierarchy, of which we are a part, is constructed with selection processes and patterns of exclusion that result in injustice and oppression. Our unjust hierarchies, our cultural unjust hierarchies, persist with the help of supremacist fears of scarcity. I can't share because then there won't be enough for me. Whatever it is, resources, power, money, time, belongings, whatever it might be. The impulse is to fiercely guard and hoard power, privilege, material things, prestige, resources, and our very sense of individual and collective identities. Our very existence is tied to definitions of activity that are not sustainable. We fear stillness. We fear honoring the Sabbath because we fear doing nothing. We fear quiet because we might equate quiet and silence with emptiness, with not existing, with not doing, with not making, with not being productive. Muller states, just because we are working hard does not mean we are making anything happen. Our opening words this morning by Wilson She writes, choosing to focus our attention is countercultural. When we stop and rest, when we honor the Sabbath as many times as we are able, each day, week, month, year, we are acknowledging our humanity and our spirit. We step away from and out of, even if it's momentarily, the gospel of consumerism. Burens asks, why is it that we have so much difficulty acknowledging our enmeshment in structures of injustice? Part of Buren's answer references the Sufi parable of the fish. And he goes on to say, the culture we all swim in today is not only full of nasty currents and predators, but seems perversely polluted with plastic, literally and metaphorically. It's littered by individualist consumerism. We have trouble seeing it because, like the fish and the ocean, we are of it. Honoring the Sabbath is an opportunity to swim in our divine humanity and is an antidote to oppressive gospels of consumerism. There are as many ways to honor the Sabbath as there is life on earth. It is a commitment to your rhythm of the divine, holy, and human recreation. The required rest to renew is not optional, and there are many, many ways to rest. Resting might occur in the act of creating, in paying attention to our senses, maybe especially in nature. Resting might be turning inward and engaging with our inner voice. Resting might be reading, writing, journaling. Resting can be asking for emotional support. That's really scary too. Do it anyway. Requiring help is very hard for us in this particular culture, and rest can come with receiving help. Some of us rest being social. Some of us rest being not social. And there's always the more obvious physical rest, sleep, naps, meditation. Here's a good one. Muller writes that the Talmud prescribes the Sabbath as a time for making love, to feel our bodies in delicious union with God and our beloved. This way of observing the Sabbath is a far cry from the ideas of Sabbath held by my Protestant Christian ancestors. Of that, I am abundantly sure. But I dig it. Observing the Sabbath shifts the focus from self-aggrandizement. It shifts our focus to being part of something that is larger, the infinite, the divine, God, nature, our humanity. Here's my idea, and that is that we ought to frame honoring the Sabbath as rebellion, revolution, subversion. Observing the Sabbath fosters humility and interrupts a focus on self by being a time when we retreat from the illusion of our own indispensability. When we honor the Sabbath, we are important in that we are part of something larger. What possibilities might there be in centering Sabbath in our theologies and practices, individual, community, institutional? How might each of us engage in regular observance of the Sabbath? What activities or quiet times are each of us already doing that we might elevate in stature and call it honoring the Sabbath, making time on the calendar, safeguarding against distractions, and turning off the phone. What might we add into our current Sabbath practices that we've longed to reacquaint ourselves with, or we would like to try? The wisdom known by the ancients is that the Sabbath prescribed a specific time to stop and pay attention. And the Talmud was wise enough to include sex and maybe even rock and roll. Pretty cool. Way ahead of their times. Muller writes, in Sabbath time, we are valued not for what we have done or what we have accomplished. We are valued simply because we have received the gentle blessing of being miraculously alive. I hope you'll join me in making a priority of observing the Sabbath. It's easier for me, anyway, to consider it as a radical and subversive act, particularly at these times. To commit to soul nurturing self-reflection, practicing humility, imagining and participating in peacemaking, and getting acquainted with the rhythms of generative and creative restorative rest. In closing, I invite us to consider these words from the Tao Te Ching. Do you have the patience to wait until your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? May we, each of us and all of us, aspire for the patience to wait and create space for our mud to settle. Blessed be, and amen. Please rise as you are able and join us in singing hymn number 83, Winds Be Still. It is in our gray hymnal.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And it's that time in our service where our roomies say goodbye to our Zoomies, and our Zoomies say goodbye to our roomies. It's been wonderful to be together here in time and space.
As we end our time today in community, sharing sacred space, may we think in the days and weeks ahead of ways to capture those moments to honor the Sabbath, to honor our need for rest and quiet and creativity in small ways and maybe in larger ways. At this time, we really need to take care of ourselves, and we need, in my opinion, to find ways to restore our faith, as Terry said earlier today, in the love that centers our humanity and our sacred spirit. Go in peace and go in love until we are together again. May you find lots of glitter that you can put in the jar, and may you have the patience to let your mud settle. Blessed be, and amen.
Thank you. So Jim Billings here. We wanted to give just a short update to folks here and on Zoom regarding the ministerial search. As many of you know, our beloved Reverend Terry is retiring this year in May, and we are embarking on an effort to seek and call a new minister. So with that, I'd like to invite Joan, if you want to talk about that a little bit up here.
Okay, so as you know, we started the search process last year and we had a candidate. Unfortunately, some personal issues and the Trump administration kind of got in the way of the expected timeline, and now that candidate is not available. But since we had all of that, we posted our profile online. The UUA gave us really positive feedback about it, and we're now in the search process. So all congregations who are looking for a contract ministry have now posted their profiles, and ministers have expressed interest in congregations. So the part of the search that we're on now is drafting interview questions, checking references, watching sermons, and did I say interviewing? Interviewing. And I want to tell you what happens if we don't get a candidate, because I know I can't share much about what's going on, but I do know that's going to be a question that people have. If we don't have a candidate, well, let me start with if we do. If we do find somebody that we like, we would make the offer, and that would be go to the UUA. Like our preference, we rank, and our preference list goes to the UUA, and the UUA gets a preference ranking from the ministers who are looking. And the UUA says, okay, you guys were no, okay, here we go. What about this match? And then we decide if we agree to that and make an offer. So the timeline for that is between, it's the kind of the last week of March. And then if we don't find a candidate that we like and they don't like us, we didn't want them anyway. Which is true overall, right? It's got to be a good match. So if that doesn't work out, there's open search after that, and that's what we would go into. So all the ministers who are out there who didn't find their first pick, or who maybe weren't looking on the same timeline, we'd have a process for that too. So when we have more concrete information, we will gladly share it, and email us if you have any particular questions. Yep, and that's me. Ash is here today. Barb is here, Steph is here, and Tina's online, and Sarah is celebrating with her mom because 100 is a big deal. So yeah, reach out to us if you have any questions. Thanks.